Hey everyone, hello and welcome to my my live stream where I'm going to be coloring and chit-chatting with you. So thank you so much for showing up. Thanks so much for being here. And I'm excited to just have a really laid back, fun afternoon with you guys. So I've got my pencil crowns here. And I have my cat butt coloring book, which is the same coloring book I had last time. So I did one of these coloring, sketching events I think it was about a month ago, almost a month ago now. So please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat room, say hello, and let me know where you're from. Hello, Maura, welcome. I see, wow, there's 15 people here already. Oh, one person left. That always happens as soon as I start. One person leaves as soon as I start. It's like they're expecting something different. And they're like, coloring, what? Hello, Acorn Cup and Jeanette. Hello, Crystal and Celine from Paris. Diane from Orange County. And Hector. I remember you, Hector, from other live events that I've done. Oh, awesome. Oh, Maura, you're from Ottawa. Cool. My aunt used to live in Ottawa, and I went there when I was, I think, 2 or 3. Hello, Callie from New Jersey. And I can't pronounce this name, FMANTPT. Hello from the Czech Republic. Awesome. So how is everyone doing? What's new in your world? How are you managing? How are you doing? What have you been up to? Let me know. So I have something exciting to tell you guys about. So I'm just going to have a mini coughing fit. Excuse me. And yes, Maura, I know you're in my class. I recognized your name right away. Okay, so I'm in my cat foster room, and I'm here with Dahlia, and I'll just show you little Miss Dahlia. Hello, girl. She normally looks really relaxed, but she's like, what is happening? I have all my electronic stuff set up, and she's like, what is going on? So I have exciting news about Dahlia. So for those of you who don't know, I've been fostering Dahlia for the last 3 months. So she was a feral kitten who was born in the wild, and she spent the first 6 months of her life in the wild. And then she was captured by an animal rescue group that specializes in getting feral kittens, usually, and putting them in foster care. And what they do is they get them fixed, they deworm them, they deflea them, they treat any issues. Because quite often when a cat's been living in the wild, sometimes they're malnourished, and sometimes they have injuries and issues and stuff like that, and parasites. And so then what I do as the foster mom is I help her get socialized so she becomes comfortable with humans. And then if that's possible, because sometimes it's not always possible to socialize a feral kitten, if that's possible, then she's ready for adoption and she can go to her forever home. So I've had Dahlia for 3 months now. I don't normally have a cat for that length of time. But what happened is she was almost ready to go. In fact, she was kind of ready for adoption. And then coronavirus happened. And so they stopped all adoptions for a little while. So I had her a lot longer than I thought that I would. And then my other cat, Henry, who's almost 2 years old, he met Dahlia and they got along fabulously, and they would wrestle and play together. And he bit her too hard on her throat when they were playing, and it got infected and it got abscessed. And so I wanted to wait until it healed before I put her up for adoption. And I ended up waiting. I waited a week, and it would like get better. Then it would get kind of like pussy again. And then it would start to get better. Then it would get pussy again. And then it started to smell like rotting flesh. And so then I was like, okay, time to go to the vet. So I took her to the vet. They treated it. Then it healed like right away. And now her fur is grown back and stuff like that. So now she's fully healed and ready to go. And she just got adopted. So what was really lovely, normally what happens is when a cat that I'm fostering is ready for adoption, is I will take her to the pet store and then someone adopts her. But I usually don't know who ends up adopting her, or, you know, if she's doing good. I usually don't get updates. And I usually never know, like, what, you know, where this cat ends up. And so that's always the hardest part of fostering. It's not letting them go, but it's about not really knowing, you know, if they're happy or what kind of a home they're in. And so what's really lovely is this time, because the adoptions aren't happening in the pet stores right now, is I actually got to do a Zoom meeting, kind of like an interview, a Q&A with potential adopters. And so Dahlia is going to a wonderful home. It's a really lovely young couple who've adopted her, and they're so excited to have her. They don't have any other pets. They don't have kids. And so I'm really excited. I feel really good about it because they seem like really lovely people. All right, so let's get coloring. So let me know, what are you working with? Are you using a coloring book, a sketchbook, and do you like to use pencil crowns like me, or do you like to use felts or crowns, or what do you like to color with? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to rejig my webcam so that it's pointed on my coloring stuff. Oops. Okay. So just bear with me a sec here. I got a lovely view of my ceiling. Oh, so Diane, you bought the Tarot by Design workbook and using Crayola color pencils. Yeah. Nice, you're coloring a castle. Diana is coloring a castle under the sea. I actually should have used I have a tarot coloring book, which is by Teresa Reed. I don't know if anyone has that coloring book or has heard of it. It's really cool. And I should have brought that this time. That would have been kind of more theme appropriate. Oh, sorry guys, that's my light. Okay, just give me a sec here. Gotta get this all set up. All right. I want to make sure you guys have a good view of my coloring. Not that you're probably going to be looking at your own coloring stuff, not at what I'm doing, but ooh, I like this one. Oh, more, that's wonderful. You're painting with acrylics. That's great. I love working with acrylics. That's my favorite type of paint to use. I actually have a friend named Maura. Her name is spelled a little bit differently. And she also paints with acrylics. And she's actually the friend who bought me this cat butt coloring book. It's a really cute coloring book. So how's everyone's weekend going? What are you up to this weekend? What plans do you have? I'm having a low-key weekend. I had dinner with my parents last night, and I have a boring weekend planned. I'm going to be doing laundry, and I did a workout this morning. I bought this body opponent bag, which is like a kickboxing thing, and it's basically like a mannequin of a man that you can beat up. And I never would have thought to buy something like this. on my own, but I went to this kickboxing gym a few months ago, and they had one of these there, and it was so much fun to punch and kick this thing. Like, you will not believe it. It was so fun and exhilarating. I was like, fuck, I need one of these like in my home. So I saved my money and I bought one, and I use it all the time. And I have like I do like, there's online workouts and stuff that kind of take you through a 30-minute workout. And I have to admit, it's pretty intense. Like, it's a really intense workout. But the time goes by so fast, like so fast. I'm always like, oh my God, I've been working out for half an hour. Like, what? How is that possible? Because it feels like 5 minutes because it's so much fun. And that's the kind of exercise you want to be doing, is stuff that feels so fun that it just like flies by. Oh, Diane, you asked, what was the name of the coloring book again? I think it's called The Tarot Coloring Book. It's by Teresa Reed. So Diane, you're going to be crocheting? That's cool. Yeah. Judy, you're doing yard work. Celine, you have a client for astro. Do you do astrology? Is it astrology readings? I think that's what you mean. I've had an astrology reading once. And it was by, I don't know if you guys know Benabel Wen. She has written tarot books. She has a gorgeous tarot deck called the, I think it's called the Spirit Keepers Tarot. I think. And anyways, she's an awesome person to follow. She does great stuff. And Benabel also does astrology, and she did a reading for me many years ago. And I've kept it, and every now and then I refer to it. And anyways, it's really neat. It was very accurate and very eye-opening and interesting. Maura, you said spirit keepers. What did I say? Light keepers? Or did I say, yeah, spirit keepers. It's a really cool tarot deck. I think it's black and white. And it's, she like did all the drawings were like hand-drawn drawings for all the cards. And it's really cool. I love her art style, and it's a neat deck. I should actually use it on my channel. It's one of those decks that when I first got it, I'm like, oh, this is such a cool deck, but I want to spend time getting to know this deck before I start using it. And then I just haven't put in the time to get to know the deck yet, because I have a lot of decks. So I think I'm gonna make it a priority to get to know that deck, because it's quite a beautiful and unique deck, I think. Yeah, Holistic Tarot is the name of the book that she wrote. Thank you. Thank you to, I can't pronounce that name. I want to say Fmamp. Oh, Maura, you have the sepia version. Oh, I didn't know there was a sepia version. I just thought there was one version. That's cool. Sepia would be nice. I've got the black and white version. So has anyone been watching any good shows right now? Any good like Netflix shows? Anything worth checking out? I just finished watching the reality show called Too Hot to Handle. I don't know if anyone here has watched it. It's pretty bad. It's kind of what you would expect from a reality show. It's kind of that sort of a thing. And I don't normally watch reality TV, and it's not that I think I'm like above it, because God only knows I'm not. But I've just never really been like sucked into it. Like I've just never found it entertaining. I found it really boring. So I've never really gotten into reality TV. And then the other night I was kind of bored. And so I started watching this show, Too Hot to Handle, it's basically like a reality dating show where all these hot single people are on this island together. And the premise of the show is that they can't have sex with each other. And if they do, they have this prize. So if you go the whole, I don't know how long they filmed the show, if it was for 2 weeks or a month or what, but if they went the whole time without having sex with each other, then they would win this prize money. But if they had sex with each other, then they would get docked money. Anyways, it's a stupid concept for a show, but I started watching it and I immediately hated it. And I was like, this is so stupid. I'm not going to watch it ever. And then I did watch it again because I was bored. And then before I knew it, I'd watched the whole thing. But at a certain point, I started to enjoy it. And I think it was like 3 or 4 episodes in, suddenly I was like really into it. And it's such a silly show. Oh, Diane, you said you are looking for past life oracle cards. Huh. Is it a specific deck called past life oracle cards, or just oracle cards about past lives? Is that a Doreen Virtue deck? That kind of sounds like a Hay House deck. Like it sounds familiar to me. Okay, Diane, you just finished watching Survivor with Jeff Probst as the host. Kim's Convenience Store. Oh yeah, I think that's on Netflix. I haven't watched it. Someone else recommended it to me as well, though. But anyways, going back to Too Hot to Handle. So one thing that struck me as really weird about that show is all the girls on that show would wear these outfits that showed a lot of like under boob. So like instead of showing cleavage, it would be like a shirt that's like really short and their boobs were like hanging out. And I've never really seen people actually wearing that kind of attire in real life. I've only ever seen it on like reality shows. So I don't know if it's just like where I live. Like, do people wear stuff like that in other cities or something? Like, I've just never seen it. And anyways, all the girls on that show, like, were always wearing those under boob shirts or dresses or whatever, like bikini tops that like would have these little peekaboo holes in it. And anyways, yeah, I thought that was really odd. And everyone on that show, well, all the women, not the guys, but all the women would have those fake eyelashes that you can get that are like kind of permanent. Well, not permanent, but like where they glue like individual lashes on your real lashes. I forget what you call that. I don't know if it's like eyelash extensions or something like that. Everyone had like massive, massive eyelash extensions. And yeah, there's a lot of big boobs, big eyelashes, that kind of a look. I wonder when the big hair of the 80s is going to come back, because big hair hasn't really been a thing for a while now, and I miss that. I wonder when that's going to come back. Yeah, Maura, you said you had a similar experience when you're watching Tiger King. Like it was like an awful train wreck that you can't look away. Yeah, I watched Tiger King too. I would say Tiger King is like highbrow reality TV compared to Too Hot to Handle. It's like Oscar worthy compared to Too Hot to Handle. Oh yeah, Axel. RuPaul's Drag Race is good. And they sing and dance and stuff. Yeah, I like that show as well. I haven't watched it in a little while, though. I kind of went through a phase where I binge watched a whole bunch of episodes, and then I didn't watch it for a while. I'll have to get back into it because I enjoyed that one. I don't know how many seasons I ended up watching of Drag Race, but my favorite contestant was the guy who did the Britney Spears impersonations. Derek Barry, I think that was his name. I really liked him. Debbie, you don't want big hair to come back. I don't think I want to have big hair for myself, but when I watch like old 80s music videos and stuff, I'm like, oh, that was so funny. All right, green grapes. Let's see. Maybe I'll do purple grapes. Diana, you said you had to stop watching because of their clothes. I think that's why I kept watching, because of their weird clothes. Is anyone here into gardening? I know a lot of people have started getting into gardening while they're in isolation. I personally am not into gardening. My husband is. He loves gardening so much, and yeah, he's planted a really wonderful veggie garden for us. And right now we have lots of greens coming up. We planted Mizuno. We planted kale and mixed greens, mustard greens. It seems like the weather is just right for the greens to flourish right now. We have a lot of greens. It's nice. And it's raining right now today. It's like a really rainy, drizzly day. Diana says, do you ever ask students to read the tarot for you? Do you ever ask students to read that, like to read my cards? The only time I've done that is, yeah, there has been a few times. So when I do tarot mentoring with people, sometimes someone that I'm doing tarot mentoring with will want to practice their reading skills. So they'll give me a reading and I'll give them feedback on it. Yeah, so that's definitely happened. And actually, I did have a student last year who gave me a couple of really great readings. No, I've never seen Big Brother with Julie Chen. I don't actually have TV. I just have Netflix, and so I don't think Big Brother is on Netflix. So no, I haven't seen it. Is it good? Is it worth watching? Ah, Luna, you've planted tomato and peppers. Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna be doing. I started. We started like the starts for tomatoes, but not for. I don't think we've ever done peppers. I don't think you can grow them where I live. I'm in British Columbia, Canada, and the only peppers that I've had that were grown locally have been like grown in a greenhouse. So I don't think it's hot enough to grow peppers here where I am. Alexander, did someone say RuPaul Drag Race? Yeah, we were talking about RuPaul's Drag Race a moment ago. What are your favorite greens to eat, Luna? I really like Mizuno. Mizuno is one that I'd never really had until like 3 or 4 years ago. Oh, Dahlia, shush, shush. Come here. It's okay, girl. Hey. Dahlia wants to say hi to everyone. Hey, Dahlia girl. Hey, pretty girl. Dahlia has turned into the world's most cuddliest kitten that I've ever had. In the evenings, I come down to the rec room downstairs and I watch TV and she comes and snuggles on me. Okay, I gotta get up to let her out. She wants to explore. Just hold on a sec. Okay, Dahlia. You go, girl. Yeah, mustard greens are nice. I like the ones that are a little bit spicy. I like kale too. I like making kale chips in my dehydrator. And I like growing herbs as well. I've got rosemary, which I really enjoy. Rosemary, thyme, sage, of course. I like making homemade sage bundles. And let's see what else. Lavender, savory, chives, all kinds of herbs. Oh, Luna, you also have grapes. Are your grapes ready now? I've got grapes too. I've got 1, 2, 3, 3 different grapes in my backyard. I have these really nice kind of dusty pink grapes that are really sweet and delicious. And then I have some red grapes and green grapes. Yeah, you said they're tiny. Yeah, I find grapes take a while to grow. Once they're established, they can get really big, but they do take a while. We just planted a new grapevine, I think 2 years ago now, and it feels like it's just like taking forever to grow. Oh, welcome, Sunitha from India. You're new to tarot reading and you're getting lots of great insights. Well, that's awesome. I actually brought my a deck of oracle cards with me, and I thought I'd pull a card for all of us just to do like a general read. I have the Oracle of the Essences is the deck that I have with me here. I used it for the reading I did on my YouTube channel this week. Yeah, there is something nice about growing your own plants, your own food for sure. It's nice to be able to just walk out your door and get fresh greens from your garden. I have to say that feels like a luxury to me. Oh, thanks so much, Sunitha. I'm so glad that you're liking my tarot videos. That makes me so happy that they're helpful for you. Thank you so much for letting me know. And I hope you have a good sleep tonight. Yeah, I'm trying to get ideas for my next video, my next tarot video that I do. I was thinking of doing one on different crystals to use with tarot. I thought that might be a good topic. I started kind of making notes on that one, on like my favorite crystals to incorporate with tarot cards. Yeah. But yeah, if you guys have any ideas for me or anything you'd like me to see me do a video on, let me know, because I could always do with more ideas. And let me know what you guys want to chat about. If you want to chat about tarot, feel free to ask me any tarot related questions. If you want to chat about like intuitive development, psychic development, feel free to ask me anything about that. Or if you want to talk about some other topic, let me know. Oh, Luna, you said you would love to see, my reading area and some ideas on how to set up your space. Well, actually, I've already done a video on that. It's called How I Do My Tarot Readings. I did it actually pretty recently. If you search for that on my YouTube channel, I think you'll find it. Or I could just post the link for you. Hold on a sec. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, here's the blog post I did on this, and I have a video. I'll just post the link. Posting the link right now. So in that blog post, yeah, there's a video and everything, and I show you my reading space, and I share with you like how I get set up for my readings, how I kind of create the space, my sort of process for getting ready for a reading. And it's mainly about like my professional readings, how I get set up for those. It's not really about how I get set up for like if I was to just do a reading for myself. It's a little bit of a slightly different process. But yeah, that would be a good idea, actually, maybe a video on how I prepare for doing self readings. Diane asks, how is your class going? Unfortunately, I work during the day and cannot attend. Well, the classes aren't actually live classes. It's like an online class, so it doesn't matter if you work or whatever. Like you can access the content anytime. The only live component in my class that I'm teaching right now, so the class I'm teaching right now is called Reading Tarot for Others. And I think there's a couple people. I know Mora's in the class. I think there's someone else here that might be in that class as well. And it's going really great. I've had this is the biggest class I've ever had. And people seem very engaged, like in the Facebook group and everything, which is wonderful. We did our first live Q&A session. And that's kind of the only live component of my classes is the Q&A session that I do once a week. But even that is recorded, so it doesn't really matter if you're like in a different time zone or something. But there were so many questions. It was great. It was awesome. Because sometimes if I have a smaller class, sometimes there's not, enough questions to like pad out the whole Q&A. So I'll sometimes I'll even make up questions or create questions that I know are like common questions that people will be interested in hearing the answer to. But this time I really did not have to do that because there was plenty of people asking questions. So it's good. Lynn asks, how are you handling this staying at home stuff? So I feel kind of lucky for a couple of reasons. Number one is I stay at home most of the time anyway in my day-to-day life. So I work from home And I'm pretty much a real homebody. I do spend a lot of time at home. So normally there will be days where I don't leave the house, and that's normal for me. So it hasn't been like such a drastic change to my usual routine. The only difference is I can't go out for my yoga classes and I can't go out to visit friends and do social things. And I feel like where I live, I'm in British Columbia, Canada, and we're not on lockdown, so you can still go to stores and stuff like that. Some of the parks are closed, some are still open. The park that I was going to is still open, so that's kind of nice. So yeah, I can get outside. Like I have a yard too, so I feel like I would be feeling the effects more if I was in an apartment. Like I feel like I would really be feeling that, but I'm not. So I can still go outside. I can still, go out for walks and stuff like that. So I don't really feel that confined. So I feel like I'm dealing with it well. I don't feel like I'm cooped up. I am disappointed that a lot of events and things that I had planned for the summer are canceled, and I'm disappointed in that. And we were going to go camping in the summer, and that has been canceled. And so, that's been kind of lousy. And in some ways, I'm kind of getting bored of just being at home all the time. But at the same time, I'm used to being bored, so it feels familiar. Yeah. How are you handling it, Lynn? How are you dealing with staying at home? And that's good to hear, Maura. I'm so glad you're liking the class. I'm actually gonna pop in the Facebook group once I finish this live stream. I'm gonna pop in that group and comment on some posts and answer questions. So how do you feel, Maura, about, I'm curious because I post those little tarot exercises every day or every other day. Do you think they're a bit much? Like, do you get overwhelmed when there's like tons of tarot exercises to do, or do you find that fun? I never really know. I never know if I'm overwhelming people or if they like the extra challenge. I'm guessing, judging by how many people participate in those, I think people are having fun with it though. Okay, Grun says, when, if ever, did you last watch the movie Strange Brew? I don't know if I've seen Strange Brew. I remember that movie coming out in the 80s, and I kind of remember it showing at the local drive-in theater. And I'm pretty sure I've seen it, but I can't, I don't remember anything about the movie. I know it was a comedy. It was like kind of silly. Oh, cool, Norma, you foster dogs and puppies. Wow. And you did foster a 2-month-old kitten for 2 weeks. Dogs and puppies would be harder to foster, I think. They need a lot more work and attention, and I think that would be more work. It's almost like fostering a child, like a human child. That's awesome that you do fostering though, Norma. That's great. I love doing it. It's so much fun. Oh, Axel, are you in the class as well? Maybe you have a different name in the class. Or maybe you just don't post in the Facebook group. That could be it. Actually, I do recognize that name, Axel, now. Oh, hey, Debbie, you're in the class too. Okay, I knew there was a few of you. Okay, good. It sounds like you guys don't feel too pressured. To participate. Good, good. I want it to be fun for people. I don't want it to be, a stressful experience at all. Which reminds me, I have to finish watching the videos for week 2. My goal is always to watch all the videos on the day that I post them, which is Wednesday. But I didn't get, I still have the last 2 that I have to watch. And I like to rewatch them every year because a bit of time has gone by since I've created those videos. And, I think it's been a couple of years. And so it's always good for me to kind of refresh my own memory of what I said, what I covered. Maura, you asked me if Henry will miss Dahlia when she goes to her new home. I think he will, yeah. I have been keeping them separate though because he bit her, and he bit her more than once. And at first, after she got treated by the vet, I thought, okay, maybe I'll let them interact, but I will be closely supervising them. And even that didn't really work out. He was going for her, trying to bite. And he can also turn aggressive, like with no warning. Like they'll be having fun, they'll be chasing each other around, and then all of a sudden, he just gets a bee up his ass about something, and he'll turn on her. Which is funny because he's so not that way with my other cat, Merlina. She really rules the roost, and he would never, ever bite her because she would just destroy him instantly. So I don't feel comfortable letting them interact. So I'll let them interact if I'm holding Henry in my arms, and that way I have control over the situation. And they like to sit on either side of the door, and they'll paw at each other under the door. It's really cute. But Henry really likes her, and she loves Henry so much. Even though he's bitten her so many times, she just loves him to bits. It's so weird. It's like an abusive relationship. It's very bizarre. But yeah, so will Henry miss her? Yes. I think he will. He'll be really confused as to where she went when she goes. And I actually have her till Tuesday. Tuesday, I'm going to take her to her new foster home. Yeah, I don't know, Maura. Maybe he was giving her a reason to love her new home. That's one theory. Cats are definitely bizarre. Like just the way they treat each other is so weird. Like I have 2 cats, Merlina and Henry, and they're both very fond of each other. They get along really well. But sometimes when they play, it turns nasty. And Merlina will like beat him and be aggressive, and he seems fine with it though. He doesn't take anything personally. She can treat him so horribly one day, and he doesn't personalize it. He doesn't think it's about him. He just lets it kind of roll off his back. It's really interesting. It's like, wow, if we could all be like that, Henry, the world would be a more peaceful place. So I've been looking for a new webcam because the webcam I've been using for the last few years is just not up to snuff anymore. It's kind of blurry. You guys probably notice it's not the clearest picture. I think there's better webcams out there. But I should have ordered a new webcam before COVID hit, because now like everyone's ordered webcams and you can't get a webcam. Like it's impossible. So I don't know when that will change, but I'm like keeping my eyes peeled for when I can get a new one. Oh, Alexander, you ask, what should I know before to adopt a cat? Any tips or warnings? Yeah, so Alexander, I'm guessing you've never had a cat before. Any tips? Let me think about that. I think that sometimes people think cats are going to be super low maintenance, and I think that in comparison to dogs, they are in many ways, but they can be high maintenance, so that's something to consider. I think if you adopt, like everyone wants kittens. Kittens are easy. It's easy to find homes for kittens. It's not as easy to find homes for grown cats. The advantage to adopting a cat instead of a kitten is that you should get a good sense of its personality. So whoever has been looking after the cat before you get it, you can always ask like what their personality is like. Their personality, as a kitten, they haven't grown into their personality yet. So you never really know when you get a kitten what their adult personality is going to be like. So that's the advantage to adopting an adult. I think if I had to do it over again, if I didn't have any cats and I was going to adopt a cat, I would do an adult cat instead of a kitten. Adopting a kittens can be destructive. I mean, cats, period, can be destructive, not just kittens. So kittens can be destructive. They can chew on things. They're sillier, like they have a lot of energy. And if you're going to get just one kitten, know that it's going to need a lot of attention. It's going to need you to play with it a lot because they have a lot of energy. So if you feel like that might be a lot for you, think about adopting 2 kittens. I feel like cats love, for the most part, to have some company. But if you already have an older cat and you bring in a kitten or another cat, sometimes it doesn't work out. But when I adopted my kitten, I was debating, should I adopt 2 kittens at the same time? Because all my friends were like, yeah, you should, because then they play together and they don't get lonely and stuff like that. But I didn't want the financial stress of having 2 cats, so I just adopted 1. And she was very, very needy. So she wanted attention like all the time. And like if we left the house for, a few hours, she would be like angry at us when we came in. She would like chatter at us and like be really cranky. And so then we thought, let's get another kitten. So we got Henry. Henry is a couple years younger than her. And she hated him for I actually fostered Henry for like a month before I adopted him. And she hated Henry for the first 3 days. And then they fell in love. And now she really likes him. But she has been a much happier, mentally well-adjusted cat since we adopted him. And when we go out now, she's fine. She's okay because she's not being left alone. She's got Henry to keep her company. So that's something to keep in mind if you want to adopt a cat is, how often are you at home? If you're hardly ever at home and this cat's going to be by itself a lot, I think it's mean, honestly, to get a young kitten and just leave it on its own for really long periods of time. Kittens don't like that. So if you're going to be, gone at work a lot, consider getting 2 cats. Or an older cat who's used to being on its own and who's, okay with that. So those are my tips. I'm sure I have more, but those are just the ones that, and even like get a book about cat care and stuff like that. Because there's things about looking after a cat that I didn't even consider before I got mine, like cutting its claws, its toe, like trimming its claws, and you just trim sort of the ends. And I just do my cat's front paws. I don't even bother with their back paws. Their back claws don't seem to grow at the same rate, or maybe they wear them down more. I don't know. But yeah, I trim their front claws, but there's a bit of an art to it because you can't go down too far. So that's something you want to kind of learn before you get a cat. And they're more expensive than you think too. So you have to figure out like, okay, how much is litter and food going to cost per month? And then you have to be aware of like unexpected expenses like vet bills and stuff like that. And, I would also recommend keeping your cat an indoor cat instead of letting it outside. It will be a lot healthier and safer if you do that. And I mean, this depends where you live too. Like if I lived in a rural place, I would let my cat outside, even though there is a risk. But I live in the city and there's a lot of traffic where I am, so I keep my cats inside. Oh yeah, Maura, that's such a good tip. Don't feed your cat as soon as you get out of bed in the morning. Otherwise, they will wake you every morning to feed them really early. Yep, that's good advice. And I never, like, if your cat wakes you up at night, like every now and then my cats will be jerks and they'll just like start waking me up in the middle of the night, and just do not respond. Don't get out of bed. Don't touch them. Don't pet them. Don't play with them. Don't feed them. Just totally 100% ignore them. And they will learn that waking you up gets no response from you, and they'll stop doing it. The biggest mistake you can make when your cat wakes you up in the middle of the night is to feed it, because then they'll just forever harass you at night. Yeah, Alexander, you said, wouldn't a cat be happier outside? Risks and all. Yeah, it depends on the cat. So my cat Merlina, she is definitely meant to be an outdoor cat. So I trained her to walk on a leash. And so I would take her outside in the garden for walks and down the alleys and stuff like that. And now she's a bit older. She doesn't love going on the leash. So now when we're out in our yard, I just let her roam freely in the yard as long as we're out there with her. But Henry, because Henry was a formerly feral cat, he was born, excuse me, he was born in the wild. And he's scared of outdoors, so he has no interest in going outside. He will come out on our sun deck with us in the summer. But other than that, he has zero interest in going outside. He is more than happy to be an indoor only cat. And so some cats are just like that. There's some older cats that are like that. My parents' cat is like that. Like they let her outside, but she rarely goes outside. She just likes staying indoors. And it's something I struggle with because I feel like there's a lot of times that my girl cat will want to go outside and I just can't be out there with her, so I don't let her out unsupervised, and she gets really upset. She really wants out. And I think in some ways she would have a better quality of life just being able to come and go as she pleases. But there's real risks in my neighborhood. So every time I go for a walk in my neighborhood, I see new missing cat posters. Cats go missing in my neighborhood like every day. And I don't think I could handle her going missing. Like, you know? And I know she would get in cat fights because she's aggressive. So I know she'd pick fights with all the neighborhood cats and get mangled up. So you have to weigh the risks. And I have friends who feel the opposite way. They feel like the risks are worth it, and so they let their cats out, and they have had cats go missing. And like, I just don't think I could psychologically handle having my cat go missing. But cats I think they're meant to be outside. They're animals. They're not, I don't think it's natural to keep a cat indoors all the time. But the risks, there's so many unnatural risks outdoors. Like there's cars aren't natural. Like there's so many environmental risks that just wouldn't normally be there. But in modern society, they are there. So it's a tough call, I think. Yeah. And it depends where you live too. In fact, the organization that I foster for will not adopt to people who are going to let their cats outside, because they mainly rescue feral cats, and feral cats have a high, there's a big risk that they'll sort of return to their wild nature if you just let them outside, that they might just kind of wander off and not come back. Oh yeah, more. You just said what I just said. That most places that adopt cats won't adopt them if you tend to let them out. Yeah. And cars too, like just on my street that I live, there's like a lot of neighbors have had their cats hit by cars. So I feel like the risk that something will happen to my cat eventually if I let her out unsupervised is actually very, very high. If I thought, if I lived out in the countryside and I thought, well, there is a risk, but it's a low risk, then I would be willing to risk it. But the risk is high, I think. Yeah, and cats do kill a lot of wildlife, a lot of birds and stuff like that. Not because they're hungry and they need to, but just because it's in their instinct to hunt and kill things that move. Actually, Merlina has caught birds out in the backyard. She caught a bird the other day, and it was so weird because I was standing right there. And this bird swooped down, and she was just like, she got it in her mouth. And I grabbed her, and she let it go, and it flew off. And so I hope that she didn't hurt it with her teeth. There's no way of knowing, but the bird did fly off, and it seemed uninjured, but hopefully it was okay. Okay, bye, Debbie. So Alexander, you said check out the documentary Kedi about cats in Istanbul. Huh. Okay, I will check that out. I'm so excited because I finally found this body lotion to treat my bumpy arms. I don't know if anyone here gets bumps on the backs of their arms. I know there's like a medical term for it, but it's like these little bumps, these hard little bumps that I get on the backs of my arms. And I've always gotten that my whole life. And I exfoliate a lot with like body scrubs and stuff like that, because that kind of helps, but it never really gets rid of it completely. And I found this body lotion the other day at the drugstore, and it has some kind of acid in it. It wasn't alpha hydroxy acid, it was some other thing. And anyways, it works so good. I used it just one time, and it just like totally got rid of all the weird little bumps I have on the backs of my arms. So yeah, I'm excited. It doesn't take much to thrill me, I guess. Oh yeah, Maria, you said you come from a rural area, yet so many cats die hit by cars and other stuff, and wild animals. Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. I actually have quite a few friends who've had their cats get hit by cars, and they live like out in the country. And one reason might be that the animals out there, or the cats out there, are not as used to cars because there's not as much traffic out there. Whereas the cats in town are a little more street smart when it comes to that. That's one possible explanation. But yeah, there's lots of risks out there as well. When I grew up, though, like we had a cat, and keeping your cats indoors was not a thing. Like nobody did that with their cats. And my cat wandered around the neighborhood, and she would go into neighbors' houses uninvited and just like hang out there and stuff. She was really nosy. And nothing. Well, one time she went blind. So when I moved out of my parents' home, she went blind, but they were still letting her go outside, and she got lost. And I remember being devastated, and we looked everywhere for her. And after a couple of days, we found her, and she was not far from home. She was in a neighbor's yard, and yeah, we found her and brought her home. And then I think a year or so later, my parents got her put down because she had a bunch of problems. She went blind, and then she had thyroid problems. She had some other problem. She was just not doing good. And she was old by that point too. But she was my first kitty, and she will always have a special place in my heart. I feel like we've talked about cats this entire time. Oh, I meant to paint my nails for you guys, but I didn't. I ran out of time. And I was at the drugstore a couple days ago, and I went there for necessities. and then I saw the rack of nail polishes. I was like, ooh. And there's something about seeing a whole rack of like different colored nail polishes. I just get like sucked in. And so anyways, I was looking at these nail polishes and looking at them, and I guess like a few minutes went by, and then this announcement came on in the store, and it was like, just a reminder to all shoppers to only shop for necessities during this time, and avoid spending unnecessary time looking at items. And I'm sure that was like 100% directed at me. So anyways, so then I felt kind of embarrassed, and I didn't want to buy the nail polish then. So I just kind of rushed out of the store at that point and bought my stuff, and yeah. But yeah, I meant to paint my nails for this live event, but I just ran out of time, because painting your nails takes a while. It's a time-consuming thing. But I find it relaxing. It's like coloring or painting or something. Like it's a kind of a relaxing thing to do. Oh, interesting. Lynn, you ask, how do you know when to charge someone for a reading? Well, I guess it would depend if you're reading professionally or not. So if you're a professional reader, I feel like I wouldn't give free readings. So let me explain that first, what I mean by that though. So if you're learning tarot and you just want to practice on people, I mean, I gave tons of free readings this way when I was learning, but I would explain to people that I'm not a professional, I'm learning. And so I would give them a reading in exchange for feedback. So it wasn't, I mean, it was a free reading in a sense, but I was asking for something in return. So I think that's okay. But if you're not doing a practice reading, if someone wants a reading, if I'm reading for a friend, like a good friend, usually I ask for something in return, like they'll take me out for a coffee and a goodie or something like that. Or one of my girlfriends will take me out for dinner, and then I'll read her cards for her. Or even like with friends, I'll even accept, vegetables or something from their garden, or jam or something like that in exchange for reading. But if it's a total stranger, you're not, if say you're not learning, you're confident in your ability to read, you're not a total novice, if it was a complete stranger, I would charge that person. Yeah, does that make sense, Lynn? You can let me more you can let me know more details of your question if there was like a specific scenario that you were in and you were wondering whether or not you should charge. So Maura asks, how did you get into tarot in the first place? Good question, Maura. Thanks for asking. So I got into tarot quite a while ago, and I had a friend who was into it. And before that, I'd had tarot readings before. I kind of had a general sense of what tarot was, but I didn't know much about it. And I always thought tarot was like something that you needed to either be born knowing how to read it, or you needed to have like a family member, like a mother or a grandmother who read it. I didn't really realize that tarot, like I thought of it as being like, I thought you had to be born psychic. I didn't realize it was something that you could develop and learn, like a skill. And so when my girlfriend was learning tarot, I was like, what? Like, you can just learn tarot? Like, that's so weird. I guess I would have been like 26, I think, 25, 26 at that time. So let's see, I'm 38 now. So it was like 13 years ago, 12, 13 years ago. And yeah, so that's kind of how I was like, oh, that's interesting. And there was something so mysterious about tarot that really drew me in. And just this idea that I could learn this really mysterious, mystical thing was so fascinating to me. And so that's kind of how I got into it. And it was during a time where I was looking for guidance in my life. Like I was kind of without direction at that time, but I wanted to make big changes. And I also didn't have much of a spiritual life at that time either. And I think I was kind of searching for something along those lines too. And yeah, that's kind of how I sort of discovered tarot. So Lynn, you said you're in a Facebook group and I know they would like it, but there's another reader that charges per card when she posts about it. And I just had a lot of people want a reading. Huh. Yeah, it depends on the Facebook group. I know there's one group that I'm in called Tarot Nerds. I don't know if anyone is in that one. And it's a really great group. And I see people will do free readings in there all the time. They'll do like practice reading and stuff like that. And that might be a group for you to check out if you're wanting to do some free readings. And also, like, if you're going to do free readings, because actually, come to think of it, I do free readings when I do like my live. I do a lot of, I've done Facebook lives, YouTube lives, where I call it like a tarot reading party, and whoever wants a reading can ask a question, I'll draw a card. And those are free for people. But they're also like, I'm getting something out of it. I'm having fun. I'm doing some readings. I'm promoting something, usually like I'm promoting my paid readings, or I'm promoting a course or something like that. So I feel like I'm getting something out of it myself. So yeah. So Heart of Adele, you say, what is your MBTI type. I don't know what that means. Sorry. Maybe if you could explain. Oh, Myers-Briggs type indicator. Thanks, Hector. I don't remember. I remember doing that test. I don't remember what any of the types are. Sorry. I really don't remember. Is that the one where it's like INTJ, like they're like letters? I think I was an introverted something something. Can't really remember. Although I remember doing the Myers-Briggs test. I've done it 2 or 3 times, and it's different every time I do it. So I don't know how accurate it is. An INFP. I think I was an INTJ. Just because that INTJ comes to mind. I don't think I was an INFP. What is an INFP, by the way? I think the I is introverted. And the F, I think, is for feeling, but I don't know what the other letters are for. I is for introverted, N intuition, F feeling, P perceiving. Oh, okay. Oh, Diane, will I do a color in chat again? Yeah, I probably will. Yeah. I was thinking of maybe doing like a craft thing next time, some kind of like collage making or something along those lines. I'm not sure, but I do find coloring is the easiest thing for me to do and talk at the same time. I find if I have to concentrate on something else, it's hard for me to think of stuff to say. I'm not the best multitasker, so I probably will do another coloring thing again in the near future, in the not so distant future. I mean, especially if we're all going to be still kind of under lockdown for a little while longer. You know, it's nice, I know, to have things to do during the day. I'm so glad you like this though, Diane. Thank you. I'm going to wrap it up pretty soon, but I'm going to finish off by drawing a oracle card for everyone. Just kind of like a general sort of reading. Alexander, what can I do to feel more confident when I am reading for others? I teach that in my class that I'm teaching right now. That's kind of the whole focus of the class, is how to feel more confident when you're reading for others. But what can you do right now to feel more confident? I think, I mean, it depends. Who are you reading for, Alexander? Are you doing professional readings? Are you just reading for friends? You know, what do your readings look like right now? And I think that the more you practice, the more confident you become. That's one thing. I think also, though, if you change your approach to tarot, and for me, what helped is when I kind of let myself become a little more relaxed So when I stopped having high expectations for myself as the reader, if you're reading for someone and you think that you need to solve all their problems or be super entertaining or give them like a really clear, specific answer to their wild questions, then that's going to create anxiety and tension, and you aren't going to feel as confident. But if you see the reading as being more like a collaboration between you and the person you're reading for, and if you see it as being more of like a collaboration and more like an experiment, really, like you're more of an, not an experiment, but like an exploration where you're going to use the cards to like explore some of the questions and issues that they've been having. That switches, you basically switch your mind from being in this mode where before you think you need to maybe impress the person or to do it correctly and to interpret the cards correctly and all that stuff. And when you start to focus on the reading as being more of an exploration, you switch into a different mode. And it's a mode that allows you to be more intuitive, more open to ideas and guidance from the cards. And ironically, when you're not so focused on doing it properly and doing it right, that's when the magic happens, and that's when you can deliver a really great reading. So yeah, that would be my suggestion, is on how to get more confident, is notice what kinds of expectations you place upon yourself when you sit down to read for someone. Like, are you putting pressure on yourself to, to interpret the cards correctly? That's a common thing I hear from people. And yeah, I hope that made sense. All right, so I've been coloring for almost an hour and a half. Okay, I'm going to put my pencil crowns away. What have you guys been working on? Did you guys color or draw anything cool? Or Maura, I know you were painting. How far did you get in your painting? Oh, hey, Izzy. You're just joining us right as I'm about to shut her down. I'm just putting my pencil crowns away. Maura, you say, do you think it's better to read live rather than doing the reading on your own and then deliver the reading without client input? Okay, so do I think what is better, reading live with the person in front of you, or doing the reading just on your own and delivering it without client input? It depends. I mean, there's pros and cons to both. I prefer doing the reading, like if I have a choice between doing a live reading or not live, I prefer to not do a live reading. I feel like it's easier for me to relax. I have less distractions. I feel like I can deliver a better reading sometimes if the person's not in front of me. But then there's like real advantages to reading with the person in front of you, because you can use interactive tarot reading techniques. You can talk to the person. You can get more information on whatever it is that they're wanting insight into. So I think there's pros and cons to both, and it really depends on your personality as the reader and what you are most comfortable with. So you kind of have to experiment, I think, with different methods of reading. So I'm going to draw one card for everyone just to do a general read. Just to finish this event up. And this is the Oracle of the Essences, 2nd edition. This is an Oracle deck. So Doodlebug, you said you've been coloring for hours today. Well, that's a good name then, Doodlebug. Okay, so I'm going to draw a card for us. Just kind of a general message card. What do we need to know? What do we need to focus on right now? Okay. Ooh, I turned over 2 cards accidentally. Okay, so there's 2. Okay, so we've got I don't know if this is going to look funny. It looks backwards to me when I look at my screen, but okay. So we've got the first card is vetiver. So each card represents like an herb or something like that. And this represents concentration and grounding. And then the second one is wintergreen, which symbolizes natural instincts and surrender. Huh. Okay. So I'll start with this card. So concentration and grounding, this makes sense. This is all about, it's basically saying that we need to focus on grounding ourselves energetically. And the best way to do that is, I think, through connecting to your body. So there's meditation, and meditation, this guy looks like he's in meditation. And that's the most obvious thing, I think, is, meditating, focusing, concentrating your energy. But we're not always good at meditating. Meditation is hard for a lot of people, and especially if you're having troubles like emotionally or you're stressed out. Even though meditation would be the most helpful, sometimes it's hard to get into that space to meditate. So what I'm getting from this card is the importance really of connecting with your body, doing physical exercise, like moving your body, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes of yoga a day. Do something to connect with your body, and do something to connect with your breath too. And that's why yoga is so good, because you're breathing, you're moving, and yoga in itself is kind of meditative. All right, so that's what I get from that card. Very practical advice, I think. And then here we have wintergreen, which is all about natural instincts and surrender. Huh. Natural instincts and surrender. All right, so I get a couple of things when I look at this card. I'm kind of struck by the way this figure is. It's like she has a blanket or a poncho or something wrapped around her. It's like she's trying to get warm. She's kind of cozy. It's like she's protecting herself, and she's surveying the landscape. She has kind of a bird's eye view of things. She's able to sort of see the big picture and to look out over the horizon. And it's almost like she's looking for what is coming on the horizon. And because this card is about surrender, I feel like this is about letting go of the need to control the future, or even the need to know the future. And I think we often want to know what's coming up for us, what's on the horizon, so that we can be prepared. And this card is saying, instead of trying to predict what's going to happen, focus on surrendering. And this almost reminds me of the Star card in the tarot, and how that card is about really letting go and trusting that whatever happens and whatever unfolds is how it needs to be for us in that moment. Even if it's not unfolding in the way that we want, even if we're suffering or we're unhappy with things, and if things aren't going our way, still having that trust that whatever is unfolding, there's some divine purpose to it, and just sort of to trust that whatever is happening is meant to be happening for whatever reason. We might not understand it in the moment, but in the end, when we get a big picture view of things, it will all make sense. And I'm just going to look at these 2 cards together, just to see if there's anything else that's jumping out. And feel free, you guys, to add your own 2 cents on what you're seeing in the cards. Yeah, Maura, you said you want this deck. I know, this deck's really cool. And the cards feel really like matte. They have a nice matte finish. I love them. Izzy, you say Tai Chi. Yeah, Tai Chi is kind of similar to yoga in some ways. Yeah, kind of an appropriate card for the times, for sure. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this deck is really cool though. Yeah, it's called Essence, Oracle of the Essences, and it's an oracle deck, lots of plants. It's very colorful, very bright, really nice cardstock. Has really pretty, I don't know if you can see it on the video, but there's like gold edges. It's really nice. Actually, one of my favorite oracle decks. And Izzy, you said you're looking for an oracle deck with animals on it. I have quite a few animal oracle decks, actually. There's quite a few on the market. All right, so I will, bear with me, I'm just gonna unscrew my camera here. Okay, hey guys, I'm back. Whoops. Okay. Animal Spirit Oracle is Maura's favorite. I think I have the Animal Spirit Oracle. I have a Druidy Animal Spirit deck, and then I have some non-Druidy ones. And there's a tarot deck called, I think it's called the Animal Tarot. It's by Dawn Brunk, and it's a really nice tarot deck if you're looking for an animal-themed tarot. So I just want to say thank you so much, everyone, for joining me, for sitting and chit-chatting and coloring together. I've had so much fun with you, and this was a really nice way to spend a rainy, drizzly Saturday afternoon. So thanks so much, guys. I'll do another one of these at some point at some point in the near future. So thanks everyone for being here, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Saturday and Sunday. Bye, guys.